You're not allowed to turn that button on before you tell me. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sweet and Sour. I've got my coffee. You can see that. That's the normal routine just before we're about to begin. We have at home the chatsters on the panel, the simulated panel, the Zoom panel tonight. Bob Kucera joins us from home. Jewel, who you haven't seen for ages because she's been busy with her devil's, I was going to say devil's marbles, but it's the devil's tears. And I suppose if you had the devil's marbles, that would give you devil's tears, but we won't worry about that. Devil's tears is her sauce that she's doing very well with, and that's why we haven't seen her, because she's been too busy selling her sauce. Christine Burke is with us. Christine is exceptional. She's a motivated woman. She's been on all those, well, not all of those, many of those competitive shows where you win against people. She's a motivational speaker. She's got her own little blog site. She's terrific, and it's always good to have her, as it is to have our stalwart, Harry. And it's around this time that Harry normally dresses up as Santa and comes into the studio, but when you're COVID restricted and you're not allowed to go into the studio because it can't social distance, Harry will just have to dress up in a few episodes' time for our Sweet and Sour Christmas special. Are we going to do one of those? Goodness me, let's hope Christmas arrives. Topics tonight are these. Oh, The Affair Next Door is number 2. Well, let's tell you about that one first anyway. The Affair Next Door. They lived next door to each other. They were kids, 15, 17, thereabouts. It was wonderful, went on for years. He moved away, went to uni. They never saw each other for 22 years. She's living in her mum and dad's home. He moved back to his mum and dad's home. The mum and dad's all gone. They're both happily married, but there's sexual tension. Yeah, it's a good letter. That's why we mentioned it first, even though it's letter number 2. Okay, ethics in Australia. What are we teaching our kids? This situation, 4 young girls, night out, they get in the car, they've had fun, they back straight into a car, bang. Everybody tells them to stop. They don't, they're screaming and yelling and they drive away, never wanting to claim responsibility. And one of the witnesses writes into us. And finally, where do we go to after this? What are the future directions? Because the mum writes in, she doesn't know what to tell her kids, and there's no real certainty coming from any of our leaders. So she wants to know, what can we expect for the future after COVID? Don't go anywhere. It's been a long opening, but we finally got there. Park your backside on the couch, because baby, again, it's time for Sweet and Sour Zoom edition. Thanks for joining us.
Got a problem, big or small, would a miracle be nice? Our motley crew is back, churning out advice. You might even laugh a bit in the following half hour. Park your backside on the couch, cause baby, it's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
Pour some sugar on there, baby.
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
How's about some chili?
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sweet and Sour. Barry Mitchell with you for the next half hour. Who is with us tonight? Hi, Bobby.
Hi, Gaz. How are you, mate?
All
Good
right,
over your
mate.
election.
H, how are you, sir?
Sensational. Property market's starting to pick up.
Oh, well, you hope so. Victoria's open, so that's something. Chris, lovely to see you.
Hey guys, how's everyone going?
Fantastic.
And from the kitchen of the Devil's, I was about to say marbles again. Devil's Tears. Hello, Jewel.
Woohoo! I'm good.
You look very
Very
lovely
well.
in that seat. Have you shrunk in the... Oh, Bobby's got a little bit of protection. What do you think you needed on Zoom?
Do you
Goodness
need
me.
that now?
No, we don't need those here. We're in WA.
Exactly.
Looks like Bobby looks like a paratrooper might be missing his underwear.
How blessed are we?
Dude.
Bobby, what was one thing that was very sweet that happened to you in the last week? And that, and you're all on notice for an answer on that one. Something that was terrific that happened to you this week to brighten things up as we start.
Oh, you want to start with me?
Yeah, what happened? That was very good tip.
I went down to Albany this week and we opened a brand new visitors centre for Strawberry Farm Park, and it is amazing. And what a great town that is.
I love
Absolutely
Albany.
brilliant it was.
Those palm trees still there at the roundabout?
Yep, they're still there, mate.
Yeah,
Still there. And Albany is still there. The whales are still there too. They stopped killing them.
Terrific. H, what happened to you?
Oh, look, I survived Friday night. I
Went
took Diane to
whaling.
I took Diane to an event where the RSVP was for Friday night, but the actual event's on the 22nd of November. So I was able to survive that. So I think I've had a great week.
All right. Jewel, something
Yes.
good that happened to you this week. What happened?
All sorts of things happen to me, Gary, every week.
That's all you need to say.
Nothing,
That's
nothing
terrific.
surprising.
There's the lady whose
Nothing
cup is full.
surprising. My cup is full, absolutely.
All right.
And
And
the
Christine?
products are doing so well, so well.
Nice to hear. Christine?
We're really pleased, very pleased.
Oh gosh, my 13-year-old son got a job.
13. That's slave labour at 13. What do you mean you got a job? What sort of job did he get?
He's my kids are very sporty, and he plays floorball, which is like a sport that is up and coming here in Australia. And yeah, he's reffing some games over there on the week.
Excellent.
So very, boys need to be kept very busy. They do.
Okay.
So this is
Those sorts of jobs are acceptable for a 13-year-old.
yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
everyone, ready to do some work?
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. This one comes to us from North Brighton in South Australia. Hi, Sweet and Sour. These 4 girls just drove off. They all hopped in one little red car, backed into the car parked behind them with such a force and such a noise that many came running and they just drove away. As they drove past me with the windows down, I said loudly, "You need to go back, girls," several times. They didn't. So I took down the details of the number plate as they drove off and handed it to the owner of the damaged vehicle when he eventually came running. I have 2 questions for your panellists. Firstly, do our young people now lack an ethical radar, as there were 4 of them and it would have only taken 1 to say it's wrong to drive off, for them to take responsibility and do the right thing? Secondly, my dad, probably the most upstanding, ethical, honest man I've ever been privileged to know, always taught me to always offer help, but always have a mind to leave other people's troubles well alone and not put myself in harm's way. Did I do the right thing in this instance? As I said, Calvin of North Brighton in South Australia. Jules, straight to you first, huh?
Jewel. That's me. Yes, you did the right thing, absolutely. But I don't think it's just young people that have no ethical radar. I witnessed an older man about 90 did the same thing a few years ago. He hit a van, drove off, and they had to bring him back. So it's not, just young people without this ethical radar. And I think that you did the right thing. Absolutely. Shame on them for driving off like that.
Did the 90-year-old know that he hit the car behind?
He did, because he sped off and the van driver had to chase him down and bring him back to the scene. So where is his ethical radar at 90,
Bobby,
Yeah.
Does this go across all age groups, or is there an epidemic?
I love it.
I'm just going to put the hat on for this one, I've got to tell you.
We should have put the former copper last.
I'll take the hat off and answer it. Gazza, look, I don't think it's just young people. I think Jules is dead right. Last night I watched a marvelous documentary on SBS about Trump and Biden. And you've only got to look at some of our world leaders at the moment to realise that there's very little ethical morality out there, quite frankly. And
it's everybody.
we get back to that kind of respect. But look, as far as the girls are concerned, yeah, you don't know what the circumstances are. They might have been drinking, didn't want to get caught, etc., etc. But he absolutely did the right thing in what he did there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there is nothing more annoying than coming back out of the shop in the shopping centre and seeing a great big dent in the side of your car and nobody's left a note. So, yeah, absolutely did the right thing, mate. I can put my hand back on
Eight.
Yeah, absolutely. Did the right thing. I hit a car once in the car park underneath the city of Perth, and got out and actually wrote a note. And the guy was coming down. And he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I ran into this car and I'm just leaving a note with my phone number." He goes, "You're kidding, aren't you?" He goes, "No one saw you." And I saw it. I saw it. It's the right thing to do. And he said, "I wouldn't do it." And I said, "Well, you know, it's up to you. I can't be here to be the police for you, but this is what to do." And I think you've done the right thing, Calvin, that basically you informed the people. And obviously today it's very easy with phones, cameras, take pictures, send a text message to somebody, and that's it. And I just think that they just didn't care, but I wouldn't put them all young people are the same. I find lots of other young people are very responsible.
Yeah, that's true. I had someone who left $50 on my windscreen because their bicycle had scraped my car. And he left me his telephone numbers and said, "Look, it probably isn't enough, so please give me a ring. I'm sorry, I drove past your car and scratched it." And because he left $50, I thought, number one, he's a mug because it was going to get pinched, but it didn't. Number two, it was such a lovely gesture. I thought, I'm not going to ring this bloke. It was terrific. I sent him a nice text message to say, "Thank you very much." That's it. Wrap it up for us, Chris. What's going on here?
Well, of course, he did the right thing. I mean, that's obvious. Yes, you did the right thing. And you can actually, I was doing some research, and you can actually be held liable for not upholding the law. Like you can be held responsible for not, like if you saw somebody do something and you have the license plate, it is actually your responsibility to do something about it. So that's the obvious bit, but what's really going to be the truth here is what those girls do once they get found out, because I agree, kids are doing amazing things. There's a lot of kids doing horrible things. Like we had kids we know in our neighborhood come and terrorize us for 2 weeks straight, banging on our door at all times of the night. Police got involved. And and the parents know, do you think there's been any recompense at all? Like no consequence. He's driving around the neighborhood. We chased after him. He went through red light. Like it's crazy. So this is about good parenting. Yes, it's the right thing to do, but what the truth here is going to be what those girls actually do once they're caught up on what their parents do. Like I don't know how old the girl.
Chris, that hoon who was driving around your neighbourhood, did he stop it? Did he stop the behaviour though?
Well, that's done because the police showed up at his house, but they weren't even supposed to give us his license plate number, but they did on the sly. And then we saw him and we saw his license plate pulling out of a house around the corner. "Sorry, we can't do anything." So I called up his private school and said, "The police aren't doing anything, but you need to know." Now, if that was my kid, I'd have him marching over to that parent's house and dealing with it, getting some consequences. Nothing.
There's only one sad thing about all of that. What you were telling us was more interesting than our letter that was sent in.
That's what I'm saying. This is like, of course you did the right thing, mate. Of course you did the right thing. Absolutely. Right? You know, but this is about parenting and what actual consequences happen with those girls, because there's a lot of parents out there who aren't paying attention, who just aren't.
Goodness
like
me,
this
I don't know whether they've got the time
he's
anymore.
14, just driving, 16 years old. At 12 o'clock at night, where are his parents?
What were you saying, Bobby?
Gary, things have changed. I remember if I took somebody home, a youngster home, when I first joined the police force, mind you, that was years ago, they'd be begging you not to tell their parents, because I remember taking one young Italian boy home one day for shoplifting. And when I told his father what had happened, the next minute his father laid into him and started belting the living daylights out of him. Nowadays, the coppers take a kid home and it's all they can stop to get some of the parents belting into them. You know, the respect has shifted, unfortunately.
Oh, it has.
As I say, when you come back to and you look at the examples that are out there at the moment in the world, is it hardly any, is there, you know, is it, you can understand why it's happening this way.
Understand it, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
We asked our viewers at home to answer a social media question for us. And the question we asked this week was?
Mitch, we wanted to know, are the behaviours of people in modern times less ethical than times previous?
Oh,
And we got a 50-50 result on that one.
oh, that's interesting. 50-50.
That's it.
Well, some people are and some people aren't.
Well, yeah,
That's it.
that's 50-50.
That's 50-50.
Well, that's a lot of people who aren't, and it only takes a small percentage to give a whole group of people a bad name. So a 50% percentage, goodness me, where are we going? I'll tell you where we're going. We're going to letter 2. What goes around, and that comes to us from where? Oh, WA, right here. Here we go. Dear panelists, when I was 15, oh, here we go. I had my first sexual encounter with the boy who lived next door. It was a really happy time, and while we never formally became boyfriend and girlfriend, we enjoyed each other until he went to uni and left home to live in a flat 3 years later. 22 years later, I still think of him. We didn't keep in touch, but last week he moved into his mum and dad's old house, which is next door to me and my husband, as we too live in my mum and dad's old house. He came knocking at the door to say hello and got the shock of his life when I answered. His smile said it all. and I'm sure my smile said as much to him as well. The only one who didn't understand what was happening was my husband. So, yep, I really want to have sex with him. She's not sugarcoating it at all. Goodness me. I can't stop thinking about it. I don't know. I know it's going to happen. The only thing I don't know is what happens after that. Do we have a secret affair that goes on forever? If we keep it a secret as we did all those years ago, why can't it go on forever? Yes, he's happily married, and so am I. I simply can't hold back with these yearnings. Any reason why I should not follow my desires? Emily of Wembley Downs in WA writes, yes, we did change the name of the suburb to protect the innocent. And boy, don't we want to see the next instalment of this one. All right, Christine, you're first up on this one because you're screwing your face up.
Yeah, insert eye roll. Really? So you changed your name, because I was just going to say, oh my gosh, Wembley Downs is like just around the corner from me. And I know a woman named Emily in Wembley Downs who just had it. And then a new person moved in next door. So no, I'm kidding. I don't. But seriously, like I thought this was a joke. I was, are you for real actually writing this in and asking this question? So, you know, I know some people have open marriages, some people don't. But I think that Emily needs to ask herself, why don't you ask your husband, if he did that to you, how he would feel? And there's your answer.
Ooh. But do you think it's got legs on it? Bobby, what's she going to do here?
Oh, lucky neighbour. But no, look, I think she has to think about who she's going to hurt. And she says she's happily married. You know.
And so is he.
Yeah, well, I suppose we all had relationships when we were young, and times move on and times change. You can't live in the past. I think she'd be stupid to start this up. It would be really, really silly, because it means it's going to wreck the future of 4 people in total, not just the 2, not just themselves. And you can't keep these things secret, mate. They just, it doesn't happen. You get caught out in the end. They all get caught out.
They all get caught out in the end. And the funny thing, I've had many mates rush off later in life and think, oh my God, here's that girl that I used to go out with. She's fantastic. And they've left their wife to go and follow this degree of excitement, only to find within a few months that level of excitement has just dissipated completely.
Yes.
And they all go back to the missus.
There's a very funny little story about a very rich man who got a phone call from his lawyer, and he said, your wife has just bought 2 pictures for about $500 and they're going to be worth about $85 million. And he said, oh, fantastic. He said, I know she's a great businesswoman, but that's amazing. What were the pictures of? He said, you and your secretary.
Bobby.
Come on, Harry.
Well, all I can say is nostalgia is a seductive liar. You're absolutely dreaming, buddy. Or should I say, Emily, you're absolutely dreaming. I think you're confusing lust with love, and I agree with Bob and Christine that you're actually going to mess up these marriages. Or, you know, maybe you could ask your husband, introduce this guy to your husband, and say, look, he's a very good friend from the past. He's a little bit like takeaway food. He's arrived back again. Any chance for a snack or anything like that? So, but we all know the dangers of takeaway food. So, look, seriously, Emily, you're being seduced by nostalgia here. Just give it up. There's nothing. There is no upside here.
Jewel, final word on this one. Harry says she's just bored with eating at home every night. So, your perspective?
She's living in a fairy tale. This is ridiculous. This sort of thing cannot possibly last forever. She's delusional, I think, and she just really needs to get over it. I mean, really, grow up and get over it. I did say she should probably invite her husband and his wife to join them. She's married. She's forgotten all about that. But she's living in a fairy tale. She really is. If she thinks it's going to last forever and it's going to work, it's not going to work. She needs to get over this and grow up. I mean, really.
No one says this is a good thing, Emily. Travis, at home, what question on social media?
Mitch, we asked, do affairs ever finish in happy endings?
Oh.
And the result was 17% yes, 83% no.
83% no. There you go.
There you go.
I'd like to talk to that 17%.
It doesn't exist.
Just ask the New South Wales politicians.
17%, Chris, statistically does not exist. They're the people who just don't understand the question, or it's Bobby Kennedy's normal negative when he said you can only ever get 80%. The maximum vote you can ever get is 80% because 20% of the people have woken up on the wrong side of the bed and want to say no to whatever you ask, even if white is black and all that sort of thing. So when you get past 80%, you've actually got everybody.
Yeah.
Connect with Sweet and Sour online. Head to our official website, sweetandsour.net.au, to catch up on past episodes. And while you're there, why not send us a letter? Plus, don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing to our YouTube channel.
So, we're moving on to letter 3, if I can find it here. Turned which corner, dear Mitch and panellists? What happens now, please? What can we expect now that the borders and restrictions are slowly lifting? I don't hear anyone telling us what to expect with the next stage of this corona containment. We're very lucky living in Australia, and I feel much safer and reassured being here rather than being in the USA or Europe, despite being in lockdown for another 3 months here in Melbourne. It's rampant everywhere else in the world. Are we being asked to just resume our day-to-day life? Do we look forward to one day travelling overseas again? Do we focus on our own country? There are so many real questions without so many real answers. And the more I think about the future, the more I realise how uncertain everything really is. I don't know what to say to my kids about the future. We bought a new house in January and we've just resumed the repayments. Apparently the house is already worth 20% less now than when we bought it. Where's the reassurances and the direction coming from our leaders? Can you please give me some peace of mind? It comes to us from Gabby of Northcote in Victoria. And we'll go to Harry first on this one.
The first thing is that I wouldn't believe whoever told you that the houses have dropped 20%. I wouldn't be buying that, not unless you've had a valuer or a bank valuation done. Everyone always has an opinion on real estate, but you must realise that with a house to drop 20% means you've sold it for 20% less than you bought it. If you haven't sold it, you haven't dropped 20%. And housing is a bit like gold. It goes up, it goes down, but over time, it'll always continue to go up. It's just one of those resources like that. With regards to what we're going through, I think we're in a very unusual time. Everybody is doing their best, but I'm a great believer of the human spirit, and we will definitely get through it, and we will be better for it. However, things will change from it. We just cannot go back to where we were before. We need to go to the new norm, and that's one of the things that we're doing is, we all used to shake hands. Now, if you go and meet someone and you want to shake hands, they don't want to shake hands, you don't criticise them, you just give them an elbow. It's that simple. And that's what's gone. There's change that's happening out there. We just need to embrace it, not fight it.
Jewel, you have family in the States. Things are different for them than they are out here. We're very lucky out there. Number one, how do you feel about being in WA while this is happening and your family's in the States and well, I hope your family's faring well, but the States aren't faring as well as us.
Now, I feel very fortunate, blessed, really, Gary, that I am here and wish I could bring my family here as well. They're doing it fairly tough there. They're all well, but they're uncertain. They don't know what's going to happen with this election. People are dying in large numbers, and it's just a very scary time in America. And again, I wish I can bring them all over here with me, here in Australia, because I agree with Gabby. This is one of the best places to be, basically. I think Gabby's a little bit she's worrying a little bit too much, though. I mean, The future is going to be. I think she's seeing a little bit too much into this, and she's worrying a little bit too much. And she should probably concentrate on what she can control. Do you know what I mean? And not what she can't control. Because what's going to be. But yeah, I think that I'm very blessed, and I wish my family could be here as well. And it's just so uncertain. I don't know what to think sometimes.
Christine, similar situation for you. You're out here as well with your family. How do you feel? And how many folks do you have back home?
All of our family. My husband and I are both Canadian, so our entire family is in Canada. So yeah, I'm a bit freaked out about the whole thing because I tend to be a bit questioning, like I question things, and there's definitely agendas going on here that go beyond people getting sick with COVID, but I know we don't want to go down that rabbit hole here. But it's like, question everything because there are agendas here. Absolutely. So, but what I would say to, who are we talking to again?
Gabby.
Abby.
Victoria.
So Abby, here's the deal. Okay. Uncertainty is a fact of life. Okay. And the world is changing. And I would ask Abby, where is your plan B? Because if you don't have a plan B, okay, which I started 8 years ago. I started a home business that is now totally online. My husband's in the next room working his online business. And we do not rely on, you can't rely on pensions, security, all this stuff. The world is a completely different place. So you need a plan B. You need to create your own certainty. And you actually have a lot more control than you think you do. Yes. So, this is what people are starting to wake up to now. Like the world is a different place and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. But now, like never before, there is more opportunity out there on this thing that we all carry around, that people are on hours every day to make money from, to build an income from, whether it's supplemental income, full-time income. So wake up, create your own security and your own certainty. And you can absolutely do it. And if you want some advice and some help, Abby, you can reach out to me because I can definitely help you. Absolutely.
Harry's on the phone already setting up a new business. Well
totally agree with that, Christine. Yes, absolutely.
And that's just the truth right there. Besides the whole COVID thing.
Bobby, come on in.
The only thing certain in life is change. I'm going through enormous change at the moment when you think of it. I was talking to my aunt last night. She's 87. She lives in Cardiff in South Wales. They've been
Oh,
locked
wow.
down now. They've been locked down now for 2 weeks, and they look like being locked down right until Christmas. And she said they can't go out without a mask. She broke a hip about 10 weeks ago, ended up in hospital, got out in 10 days, came home, rang me, and she said, I'm home. I said, how come? She said, I didn't want to stay in there with all those bloody old people, she said. And she's 87.
Good attitude.
Look, honestly, and look, I'm just showing you, it's a great time if you want to be a ventriloquist.
Plenty of opportunities around. Goodness
Lots
me.
of opportunities, as Christine says. But look, I think she's worrying too much. There's two circles in your life that control you. There's the circle of control and there's the circle of concern. And when your circle of concern is bigger than your circle of control, you've got a problem. So look, we'll get through it. They'll find a vaccine. I was health minister for 3 years, and I know they will find a vaccine eventually. They won't find it, and they won't allow you to use bleach, I might say, too. That's definitely no. But they'll find a vaccine eventually. But think about it logically. You've got to accept it, get on with life, just as Harry says, because there'll be another one of these. There'll be another one of these viruses along later on. My dad went through the Spanish flu and was very ill for a long time, but he survived and lost his sense of smell. But everybody around him died. And funny enough, somebody was telling me that the Spanish flu actually came out of America. So that was something I didn't know until I started reading it. But look,
And we didn't close borders.
Sorry?
And we didn't close borders.
No, we didn't. And imagine what happened to, look what happened to Canada.
Yeah.
What happened to Canada in the Spanish flu?
I have no idea.
Not that. What's happened in Canada in the last 4 years is everybody wants to emigrate to Canada.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's true.
Okay. All good?
Change. The greatest certainty in life is change. My dad
Every
always
time.
used to say that. We always mention death and taxes, but everybody forgets about the biggest one, which is change. Travis, what did we ask our...
Mitch, we wanted to know, with COVID-19 still ravaging the world, has it changed our way of life forever, leaving us with an uncertain future for the next decade?
And
58% said yes, 42% said no.
Wow.
It's a definite yes.
Well, I
For me.
wonder if we were to ask that question in a year's time, whether that statistic would be more yes.
Once the vaccine comes along, they'll say, what's COVID?
No, that's true. That's what happens. We forget about it.
True.
And we don't realise the amount of change that we've been through, because we all get used to change sooner or later.
Yeah.
So stop worrying
Yeah,
about it.
myself and all my schoolmates, you would remember this, but we all used to be terrified when we were kids of getting polio.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
what vaccines, look what the polio vaccine has done for the world. It's almost eradicated it. And another one will come along. They'll find it.
Another one
And the reason they'll find it is there's a commercial reason they'll find it.
Yes.
Imagine the amount of money that those medical companies are going to make when they do find that vaccine. You know, it's going to
Now
be amazing.
there's a clue.
Now that lit the fuse for Christine. That lit the fuse.
Well, Chris, you'll have to write us a letter because we've run out of time and we've got to say goodnight to everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being with us.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, H. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Jules. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Travis, for delivering all the little...
Thank you, Travis.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. Have a great week. Stay healthy, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks for joining us on Sweet.
See you later.
Beautiful.
Bye.
Bye.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Sweet and sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
Pour some sugar on me, baby.
It's time for Sweet and Sour.